Hey, I'm Jimmy O here, and we are going live with the LAOFCS movie show, and we're talking all about Lion King. You ready for it?
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Hey guys, I'm really excited about this show. By the way, we're going to talk about Lion King, the new big budget animated Disney release, and we have really special guests today. Alexander Robinson.
Hey, I'm back again.
Yes, and the lovely Carla Renata.
Hi guys.
So, I've got to admit, I did not get a chance to see The Lion King, but I know the original really well, and I know how much I loved it as a child. Mm-hmm. I know how much it meant to me as a not only as a fan, but as a film critic. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing film. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the new Lion King. I'm going to send it over to you guys.
Alexander, I'll let you go first because I'm like the Lion King aficionado, so I'll let you.
Okay, I'm excited.
This will be interesting because so I saw the movie last week at the El Capitan, and my biggest worry about going to the movie was, is this just going to be like Gus Van Sant's Psycho? Is it just a shot-for-shot remake of The Lion King? And in a way, kind of is. I mean, if you've seen the original animated movie, then you've already seen this version. There are some few differences here and there. If I could say anything positive about it, it looks incredible. Like, it's a big step from the Jungle Book in just in terms of its look. Timon and Pumbaa were absolutely hilarious, and a lot of their scenes, it seems like the two actors were not doing their own thing, but they were just putting their own twist more than I think any of the other actors were. I really like John Oliver as Zazu, just because there's something about John Oliver's voice and that bird, the way the bird looks, that just has me laughing hard. But outside of that, I just thought the movie was soulless. Like, the biggest problem I had with the movie was you can't really get any emotions from the animals. Like, when you watch Jungle Book, you could tell by looking in their eyes that there's a lot of emotion, and you could tell what the animals are thinking without them actually speaking. And I never got that from this movie at all. I just felt kind of dead inside watching it.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
So I disagree with you.
Okay.
Good.
I disagree with you, and this is why. So let me just roll it back to what both of you guys were saying about the animated film. So there's been 3 different versions of The Lion King that have come to light. There's the original animated film that came to light. There's the musical that came to light, and this new live action version. I didn't feel soulless because the difference between all 3 of those versions, especially with this live action version, is that it concentrated more on the story of forgiveness, the story of loyalty, the story of a father and a son. It concentrated more on the relationship between Simba and his dad Mufasa and his uncle Scar, right? And it concentrated on, and this is gonna sound so corny, but it concentrated on the circle of life. You know how when one person grows up and they bring another life into the world, that lineage is carried on with the next person that comes into the family. So all 3 of those through lines stay with the film no matter what version of it that you've seen. Okay. The CGI in that film, I do agree with you on that. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. It was ridiculous. And Jon Favreau said that there was one scene in the film that wasn't done with CGI. There was only one. But everything else was completely CGI'd. And I didn't know that before. I knew that before I went to see it. So I'm like, ooh, which scene is it? Which one is animated? Which one did they not do? And there were a couple of differences for me. I don't agree with the fact that if you've seen the animated film, you've seen this. There's a huge difference, mainly because in the original animated version and in the musical versions, the hyenas are funny. Mm-hmm. I know, because I was one of the hyenas in the musical version that played at the Fantasias for 3 years. I was Shenzi, and I was nominated for an NAACP award for that performance. Having said that, and I was directed by Julie Taymor, who directed the original Broadway production. So having said that, the hyenas have always been kind of funny in the same lane with Timon and Pumbaa, but in this live action version, they are not by any stretch of the imagination funny. They are menacing. They are evil. and they are mean. And I was like, what is happening? But they did keep Shinzi, who's played by Florence Kazumba, who also was a Shinzi on stage in the German production of The Lion King. They did keep Shinzi a character that was in control and, told the other hyenas what to do. So I love the fact that they kept Shinzi strong, but she was strong in a whole nother situation than she was in the other two versions. They kept the comedy strictly, what's the word I'm looking for? Strictly limited to Timon and Pumbaa. And Timon and Pumbaa, who are voiced by Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner, were the best things in the movie.
That's what I keep hearing. And I believe that. Both of those are really funny guys. The scenes I've seen with both of them definitely have me interested.
Oh, pure comedy. Pure comedy. Chiwetel Ejiofor does the voice of Scar. He does a great job. Great job. I heard somebody yesterday go, I love the reimagining of Chiwetel Ejiofor's Scar. He didn't reimagine nothing. He's doing the same thing that they did in the animated version and in the musical. Like, there's nothing different about what he's doing. And then I heard people going, oh, and they cut Be Prepared because he can't sing. Hello, newsflash, the people in the musical couldn't sing either. The person in the film couldn't sing either. Everybody that's played Scar does not sing.
Yeah, it's more of a kind of a talking, that
it's
type
a talk
of thing.
singing
Yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly.
What were you going to say, Alexander?
Well, what you're saying about Chiwetel Ejiofor doing the exact same thing as Jeremy Irons did, that kind of proves my point on, like, you've already seen this version. And especially...
well, no, it doesn't, but okay.
I'll bring some examples of.
There are elements to prove your point. There are elements of it that are very similar, because it wouldn't be if you go and you do a live action version of The Lion King and you change the whole thing. It misses the mark, right? So yes, there are elements of it that are the same, but it's not exactly the same.
I would argue that you could make it different enough to be its own thing. Like we've seen several remakes where they can be on par with the original, like or even better, like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Of course,
different from the original one from the 50s.
I can't argue with you on that one because I won't see The Thing.
Yeah, she was. No, well, Disney. Dumbo was a little different.
It was,
right?
But it wasn't good.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That
that's
wasn't
a problem.
good. It wasn't good, and I didn't see The Jungle Book, but I am a fan of Jon Favreau. So going into The Lion King, it was in his heart, and I'm just going to preface this, which I'm sure people listening or watching have already surmised this. I can't be impartial when it comes to The Lion King because I was in it.
That makes sense.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say that up front. It's really hard for me to be impartial about The Lion King because I was in it. But what I can say is this. Apart from Timon and Pumbaa being really hilarious, the other two entertaining people in the film for me were young Nala and young Simba.
Really?
Which were played by Shahidi Wright Joseph from Us and J.D. McCrary. He was little Simba. They were so exuberant and enthusiastic, and they had all the energy in their voices, because we have to remember, because this was a live action, and the same thing with the animated feature, because it's animated or live action, you're not seeing people, you're just hearing their voices. So you have to act with your voice. I cannot say the same for Beyonce and
Donald Glover.
I always want to say Danny Glover. Donald Glover. Donald Glover and Beyonce, as beautiful as both of them are, and as talented as both of them are in their own right, I feel like Beyonce and Donald Glover, when they voiced Simba and Nala, it was kind of flat. It really was.
I agree.
Right?
Like what? Listening to Donald Glover.
We agree.
Oh my God. This has never happened before. I just felt like with Donald Glover and Beyonce, more Donald Glover, I just felt like he was kind of going through the motions, and he wasn't really putting that much effort into his voice work.
I don't think he knew how. And that brings me to my next point. I think that people believe, because I'm a voice actor as well, I think people believe that when you're acting with your voice, it's not as much effort as if it's a full body situation, but it's even more so.
Agreed.
Because you're just using your vocal cords. So people, you have to bring people in with your voice. You have to make them excited just with the sound of your voice. You have to make them sad just with the sound of your voice. All those things that you would color in the physical realm, you have to do it with only your vocal cords. And I don't think that Beyonce and Donald Glover knew how to do that. And I don't think, bless Jon Favreau's heart, and I wasn't in the studio with them, but I'm surmising that probably there wasn't a whole lot of direction given to them because of who they are, and they probably just let them do their own thing, which is why you ended up with the performances you ended up with. The song Spirit, honestly, it's a gorgeous music video, and it's fierce when I see it out of the context of the film. But when I saw the film, somebody said to me afterwards, "Oh, and that Beyonce song." I said, "Where was that?"
I know, right?
Did you do that too? I was like, what song was that?
I was like, wow. I mean, Aladdin at least added something new.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was like, I didn't realize that was a song that she had added. I heard her singing, but I was like, oh, okay. I didn't get it. But what I will say is when they sing "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," it's beautiful. Both of their voices are beautiful, but they don't bring anything extra or special or magical to "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" than anybody else did.
They don't, and
We're agreeing again.
It's
Oh my God.
it's very bizarre to hear that song being sung in the daytime.
Really?
I want to know who was it that hard to make it set at night? It's called "Can You Feel the Love Tonight." I read somewhere on Twitter somebody saying, "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" being sung in the daytime is like Under the Sea being sung on dry land.
That's a little reaching, but anyway, that's like, okay, let me find something else I can pick at in the Lion King. But and the other thing that I missed is in the musical and in the animated versions, the African music was a little more prominent in those versions, and in this version it wasn't as much. A lot of the songs that are in the musical were cut. A lot of the songs that were in the animated version were cut. Like "Be Prepared" is a snack pack version, which is only being performed by Chiwetel Ejiofor. It's not the full thing with the whole production of the Hyenas. It's like a snack pack version. Shadowland, which is Nala's solo in the musical version, that's not in there, which I thought they might have added that for Nala just to give Nala a little more depth.
Yeah, exception. Especially when you have Beyonce, you would think, right?
Right. Yeah, and that brings me to my next point. Beyonce, I feel like they are using Beyonce to get people to see the film, and people thinking that they're going to see like this Beyonce-esque version of The Lion King, and the truth of the matter is she's in like 2 or 3 scenes, and that's it.
Wow.
Right?
I think she's in a little more. Like between Simba joining Timon and Pumbaa and Nala finding Simba again, they cut back to Pride Rock several times to show like the effects that are going on and seeing what Nala, the decision she makes to leave Pride Rock and try to find help.
You're right.
At least there's that going for it.
But she does not have a lot of dialogue. And the point I'm trying to make is that people are going to go see The Lion King thinking that they're going to see this Beyonce-esque thing happening, and that's not what you're going to see. What you're going to see is a CGI animated version of The Lion King with a lot of some people's favorite songs not there, some reimagining of some characters. And you know, this is the funny thing. When what I did love about it is that Lebo M, who did the music for the musical version and contributed a little bit, I believe, to the animated version, he was very involved in doing the music for this version, and he helped write Spirit with Beyonce for this version. So it was really good to see that this brother he's South African, and he has had a career that spanned over 20 years just with the Lion King music alone. He's a huge musical force in South Africa on his own right, but with the Lion King it spanned 20 years, and it's been 20 years since I've seen him. So I saw him a lot when we were rehearsing and performing the Lion King here in Los Angeles, but I hadn't seen him again since we closed I think we closed in 2003. So I hadn't seen him since 2003, and the first time I saw him since we did the Lion King was at the world premiere opening night. So that was a really cool thing to be able to see him again. He didn't change. I did.
Wow.
but he didn't change.
Well, let me get your thoughts on the soundtrack. What did you feel was maybe improved? Both of you, actually. What improved in the soundtrack for you?
Nothing.
Really?
I honestly, like, trimming down Be Prepared, I get it, because it would look jarring to have a bunch of hyenas do their little Nazi parade in a live action setting.
Well, that's what one of the complaints was about the animated feature. They were actually going to cut Be Prepared from the animated feature because of that.
Yeah.
Because they felt like it was a little Nazi-ish.
But I think like because that's such a great villain song.
Yeah, it is.
That trimming it down it just kind of hurts. Hakuna Matata and I Can't Wait to Be King just feel awkward. Like just it's like watching a nature documentary with these songs awkwardly crammed in there. Because when you watch Can't Wait to Be King, the art style changes, the animation is just pumped up to the extreme. They take a full advantage of the animation, and in this one they just don't. I've already talked about Can You Feel the Love Tonight taking place in the day, and Circle of Life. I don't think. Did they do a re-recording of Circle of Life? Because
They did.
They did, yes.
They did.
Yeah.
Because the music sounded like they ripped it from the original.
I think they did. I could be wrong. I think they did, or maybe they did not. I'm thinking I heard Lebo say that they didn't, that they did use the original one. I'm thinking,
they did? Oh, okay.
I think I heard an interview with Lebo saying that they did use the original, because he said they did, because he said that he couldn't imagine that 20 some odd years later they would be using that again.
Yeah.
I tell you what I also loved about it is the fact that they kept the Lion King in the form of James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones did the animated.
I agree.
James Earl Jones did the live action, and he didn't skip a beat. He was right there the whole time, and there's something about his voice. He has such a rich, exuberant, just, thickness to his voice that makes you stand up and pay attention whenever he opens his mouth to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when he does it in The Lion King, whenever he says Simba in that James Earl Jones voice, you're just like, ooh, that was James Earl Jones that said Simba. Simba.
I tried. No one can do James Earl Jones.
It's like Simba, everything the light touches. It's like, it's so awesome. I love it so much. But yeah, I feel like this version was it for me. It kept the circle of life going, no pun intended. It kept the theme of The Lion King going. I just missed some of the songs from the musical. I missed the energy, because I feel like young Nala and young Simba set the bar and are supposed to set up the energy for the adult Nala and Simba, and I feel like that didn't happen. I feel like no matter what version of The Lion King you see, Timon and Pumbaa are always going to crush it.
Yeah.
Because they're always just really funny. And not for nothing, but they always let those characters, no matter what incarnation they do, let them ad-lib.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of ad-lib going on in the musical version with them, but not too much, because Julie Taymor is a stickler for things being a certain way. But in the animated version, Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella, they ad-libbed a lot,
Yeah.
And then this is funny. So, like I said, I can't be objective about it, but I do have a history with it that's really crazy. Okay, so here we go.
All right.
So when the animated version came out, I was in a musical with Matthew Broderick and Ernie Sabella, who both voiced Simba and Pumbaa. Was he Pumbaa?
Nathan Lane was Timon.
Simba and Pumbaa, respectively, right?
Okay.
So then, 20 years later, I end up in the musical version in Los Angeles where I'm playing Shenzi. And now, another 20 years later, I'm sitting here talking about it on the LAOFCS Weekly show after having gone to see the world premiere and seeing my friend Lebo 20 years after working with him on stage. So it's like, it's very special to me.
Yeah.
And it has a very special meaning for me, because it was the first time in my acting career that I'd ever worked with a female director. It was the first time I'd ever been cast as a female lead in a show. Wow. It was the first time that I'd ever been nominated for anything, So it held a lot of firsts for me. And it was the first time I'd been in a show that was predominantly African American. There's only 5 roles in The Lion King that are not played by people of color. Mm-hmm. So those roles are Pumbaa, Timon, Zazu, Scar, and what's the other one? And Ed, one of the hyenas.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So those are the 5 that are not African American. But when you go see the musical, you don't know, because everybody's face is painted, so you don't know who's what. Right.
Well, see, I love the fact that you have that history with this movie. I love that. I think, and besides the fact I love Julie, she did one of my favorite Shakespeare adaptions, Titus. I love that film. So I love what she brings to musicals. I love that what she brought to The Lion King, and it doesn't sound like this quite stacks up to the musical. Would you guys agree with that?
As an outsider, I'd say yes, because the musical, again, from an audience perspective, it benefits from having great costumes and art direction.
For sure.
Whereas, again, this new one's just the animated movie, but with CG.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did, and I think I enjoyed it because it was nostalgic for me.
Sure.
But it does look like a Disney nature film with music attached to it from the animated version. That's what it looks like. That doesn't make it bad. Like I said, the CGI in it is amazing. I'd never seen CGI like that before. It was really quite wonderful to watch. And I feel like the casting of the people that they put in there, it was good. Alfre Woodard is in there playing Sarabi. She does a really good job of being actually they kind of expanded Sarabi's role in the live action version, because in the musical version and in the animated version, Sarabi doesn't have a whole lot to say.
Yeah.
But in this version, she does. And I think they expanded it because it's Alfre Woodard. It's like, how you going to have Alfre Woodard in a movie and not, take advantage of her presence? So
yeah, absolutely.
That was a really great thing to add to it as well.
Well, that's a lot of Lion King. I mean, so you recommend it. I feel like this is going to be a movie, whether the adults like it or not. I think it's going to kids are going to love it, and kids are going to hopefully go back to the original.
That's the other thing. Yeah. So that's the other disclaimer that I want to say. If it's a child that's maybe I want to say 5 years or younger, this may not be a good film for them, because the hyenas made me jump out of my seat, and I'm grown. So I'm just saying. The hyenas are a little menacing, and they do have moments where they're like snapping and, crunching right in the screen.
Wow.
And it's a little jarring. So a child that's 5 or under may not be a good fit for them. It may give them little nightmares and stuff. So I would suggest to parents that are contemplating taking their children to this film to really pay attention to the age, PG-13 or whatever, rating they put on it, to really pay attention to that, because in this instance, I would think that it would be an important thing to take notice of.
Oh, that's actually good. I'm glad you added that, because that was my question as a dad. So, well, I think we're going to move on. We all have a retro pick because it's Disney Day, right? We're celebrating Disney, right? Yeah. I want to start with you, Carla. What is your retro pick? Which Disney movie do you love and do you want to talk about?
Okay. Again, I have a history with this one too, with a person, not with the film though, but I love The Little Mermaid. I love The Little Mermaid only because it was groundbreaking for another reason, as all the Disney animated films were early on.
Sure.
And one of my no, I'm not gonna say that. So I loved it. I loved it for that reason. I loved it because it was focusing on a young girl who, she wasn't blonde, she wasn't brunette, she had flaming red hair, she was a mermaid, you know what I mean? She wasn't a perfect girl, right? So I loved it because it was a Disney character that wasn't perfect. She wasn't perfect. She had a perfect voice in her singing voice, but that was about it. And I love, how they made the animals in the sea, main characters, and how they were like her little cohorts, so to speak. Yeah, so I like The Little Mermaid for those reasons.
Yeah, The Little Mermaid's one that has held up really well, and I'm curious to see what they'll do with the live action version
because
of that.
It's a story. Well, I talked about that on my show because people were coming for that little girl. She was at the world premiere opening night, and they were and I told her, I said, listen, first of all, mermaids aren't real. So there's that.
What? What?
Mermaids aren't real. So there's that. So why are we hating on a little beautiful black girl who's not for nothing, but she's talented? I could see it if she wasn't talented, and they were like, "Oh my God, how could they get her?" But this little girl,
beautiful voice.
Her singing voice is bananas. Her looks are bananas. She's gorgeous, 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 and a really sweet, sweet little girl. Why are y'all hating on it? Can y'all find somebody else to hate on?
It's that world, man. It's like you hear one thing, you don't like that casting choice, you don't like this, and it's like, oh God, and people go insane.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
At least see a trailer, something.
And
at least that.
And not only did they go off on her, but then when they announced that Melissa McCarthy was doing Ursula, they had something to say about that. I'm like, I'm gonna need y'all to go sit in a corner and calm down. Calm down, because the truth of the matter is, when it hits theaters, you're gonna pay money to go see it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
It's gonna be a massive hit.
What were you gonna say?
I mean, in terms of my picks or adding on to the little...
Well, you can. Why don't you
Both.
start with Little Mermaid?
Okay.
Hit it, Alexander.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the with the recent Little Mermaid casting, people get a life. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to contribute but that. As for the movie itself, I think like animation's gorgeous, the songs are iconic, the side characters are great. I like everything about the Little Mermaid except the Little Mermaid herself.
Wow.
I honestly don't.
I think sometimes, Alexander, you come on this panel just to disagree with me.
No, I don't.
I like you guys together.
But we somehow keep agreeing most of the time. On
Yeah,
this, folks.
somehow we find a common ground.
I mean, before I get to my pick, I just think Ariel is one of the weakest Disney princesses out there. I just find her kind of a spoiled brat, honestly. But I'm hoping that's something the newer version. Sorry, Carla.
She's holding it back, man. She's holding it back.
For those of you listening to audio only,
making
you need to watch these
I'm
in
making
video
faces.
form.
Yes, I am.
That's all. I'll leave it at that.
What's your favorite one, though?
I couldn't pick between two of these movies. So I had to decide either between Fantasia or Alice in Wonderland.
Ooh.
Good choices.
So I'm picking
Fantasia.
Yeah, I'm picking Fantasia because it's one of these movies that I didn't quite understand when I was a kid. Because
I didn't either. It kind of scared me when I was a kid.
Dude, yeah, it gave me nightmares. Literally, that movie gave me nightmares.
Like that scene with the little wizard doing the thing. I was like, in that music and the people marching around. I'm like,
oh yeah, Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yes, I was like,
it was one of those things I just didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
But my dad, who was kind of like the gatekeeper for old Disney, we had it. I watched it occasionally, but never quite understood it until I was about 20 years old when I rewatched it. And it's like, wow, I absolutely love this movie. And then as for Alice in Wonderland, I've read the Lewis Carroll books. I've listened to audiobooks a couple times, and this is probably one of the better adaptations of that book. I mean, the book itself doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So,
well, we all know why. They were on something at that point.
True. There's that.
The movie perfectly encompasses that nonsensical element. I love the art style. I like how it's very different from the other mainstream Disney movies they were making at the time.
Sure.
It's not typical Disney princess. It doesn't really have a straightforward narrative. It's kind of messy and all over the place, but that's the appeal of it.
Yeah.
Out of all the Disney movies made when Walt was alive, that one's my favorite.
It's definitely one of mine. I mean, it's such a weird film, and in the best of ways, and it just doesn't feel typical Disney in any sense. I mean, it's cool, it's weird, it's wild, it's everything you said. I agree with. What about you?
About Fantasia, I was like you. I didn't understand it when I was a kid, but as an adult, I can appreciate it for its groundbreaking film contributions in the Disney vault world. Now I can appreciate that, but when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know about this. My mother showed me that. I was like, I don't know, but yeah, I appreciate. It's a very, unlike most of the Disney animated features, it's a more artistic Disney film.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It's artistic from the musical standpoint. It's artistic from the animation standpoint. It's just a much more artistic, more creative animated Disney feature. So, yeah, I would agree with that. It was good.
Good stuff. Well, I'm going to go with my pick. And I had a hard time because I was not a Disney kid. At all. I was raised on Carla's favorite genre, horror. Right?
Not.
We love horror. We go see Friday the 13th movies all the... No, I was raised on that stuff, so I didn't want to see animated movies as a kid. I didn't discover them till later, till around Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. But the movie I'm going to go with is Tangled. The little movie that got... And I remember people are like, oh, this is going to be horrible. There's reshoots. And I saw this lovely, wonderful movie. Mandy Moore was... alive and engaging. And
now, you know what's interesting about that? You said Mandy Moore. You know Mandy Moore works with Dan Fogelman, and Dan Fogelman is Tangled. So I'm like, oh, they have a history. Who knew?
I love this movie. It's got such heart. I love the whole scene, where all the bad guys get into their song about what they'd really like to do with their lives, and Zachary Levi. Come on. That's honestly...
I like him. He's funny.
Yeah, between him, his Flynn Rider, and Kristoff in Frozen are my two favorite male characters in the whole Disney world, and I think Tangled is my favorite film in the Disney. I go between Tangled and Frozen, honestly. Yeah, I'm weird. I like Frozen.
Hey, who doesn't?
Lately, there's a few people that got a little burnt out, but yeah, that's an amazing film. I like
Frozen.
I like that Disney, with these characters, these new animated films, have gone on to create these kind of strong, interesting women. That, like in Frozen, they're not fighting for a man, really. They're fighting for each other.
Nope.
I love that. I love that.
I think Disney has kind of like swung its way around there, because the early Disney films, I mean, let's talk about Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. They were like, oh, I need a man to save me. And not for nothing, but when Wreck-It Ralph did that little scene with the Disney princesses, where Cinderella had that shank of a slipper, that was pure comedy. And I love the fact that they did that they showed all the Disney princesses, because when you don't see them for long periods of time, and you only see them when they open up the Disney vault to release those pictures again. It was really cool to see them all in one movie, and you go, oh yeah, I remember this about this character and that about that character. It was great. It was really great. Yeah.
I love that. I love that the Disney princesses are becoming so popular, and I think they've kind of transcended the just... Even being for girls, like you go to Disneyland, you see dudes with like Little Mermaid on them, and you see. I think I like that. I like that people are kind of opening up to these characters, and they're kind of, they're inspiring the young again.
Yeah.
But I like the direction they're going with the modern princess.
Yeah.
I just wish I'd do more original stuff right now. That's my only. It's like we're seeing all these remakes, live action remakes. I want more movies like Tangled and Frozen.
I mean, I think Disney excels like. With their live action stuff, it's just kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
Whether it's like critical success or box office success. Blah. But their animated stuff is strong. Like whether they're sequels or not, they put a lot of time and effort into their animated stuff.
Yeah.
And it definitely shows.
They do a lot of, Disney in terms of that is one of my favorite studios, because they do an enormously huge amount of research into every animated thing that they do, even with their animated shorts. There's an animated short that they had last year called Bao, about this little dumpling. Did you see that?
Yeah.
The amount of research and time and commitment that they put in, and I think she won an Oscar for that.
She did.
Yeah.
So the girl that was the director, she was an intern at Disney. She was an intern and then an apprentice in the animated department, and then they gave her own short, and then she wins an Oscar, and now she's been picked up to do her own feature film. But having said that, I remember going on a junket where they discussed how they did the research for that dumpling, and they literally took a bunch of Disney people, the animated team, to her mother's house, and her mother taught them how to make dumplings.
Oh my gosh.
So that they could get it right. Because, honey, the Asian community would have come for them if Disney had an animated short where they were making dumplings and it wasn't done properly.
Oh, for sure.
Folk would have gone in.
Yeah.
What? In this society?
Oh, please.
No. Come on.
They went in on a mermaid. You think they're not going to go in on a dumpling?
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
People have nothing better to do with their time.
Yes. Go on Twitter and complain about it. Well, we've talked a lot about Disney, when there's a lot of great stuff out there. Check out, if you haven't seen Little Mermaid, I can't imagine, just at least see it. I would say definitely Alice in Wonderland. I don't think a lot of people may have, especially the younger kids, and I think it's a really
the original.
great movie. And Fantasia. So go see it. Tangled Mini, I think more people are familiar with.
Yeah.
It's a little newer.
I've got my Rapunzel hair. I don't know about you guys,
I cannot, Jimmy.
I was gonna wear it for the show. You don't think?
Hey, anything for the views.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, speaking of views, let me shout out some people that are in our chat room.
Oh, please do.
We have Eon Eon001 and Dote for Cash, who are in the chat room. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And joining into our conversation. We appreciate you.
Well, we're going to step off of the Disney train for a moment because here we like... I know I do, and I think I speak for the group. Yeah. We like independent movies, and we like you guys to hear about movies that we maybe you aren't seeing. I know that as a kid, I used to watch Siskel and Ebert and be like, oh my God, I've never even heard of this movie. I have to go.
Right.
So we like to do that here, and I think we've all picked a independent film that's either streaming or on video that I think we'd like to shed some light on, and I'd like to start with you.
Okay. Well, since we're in the last year of the decade, in the second half of the last year of the last decade, I'm gonna go with probably one of my favorite horror movies of this decade. It Follows.
Oh, lovely.
Like, it came out in...
It's her favorite too, by the way. She loves it.
I mean, you guys gotta watch this on video. For those of you, I've already said this, but if you're just listening to audio, you gotta check out the live feed.
Yes, it's amazing.
But It Follows is it came out 2014 or 15.
I believe it was 15, but
I think it came out in a festival in 14 and then got released in 15.
I think so.
But
It actually looks like it was a Cannes debut in 2014 and then was released limited, then wide in March of 2015. So
that sounds right, yeah.
Gotcha. It's a really inventive, very small horror movie with basically this demon that chases anybody who's had sex, and basically the demon gets passed on to another host. It's creepy. It has great cinematography. In my YouTube channel, I've reviewed this movie and included it in my top 10 of 2015 and my top 100 favorite movies.
Wow.
Any shot in this movie could be framed on a wall. It's that good. I'm not getting my thoughts together.
That's all right. Take your time.
Thank you. Every shot is just that gorgeous that it can be framed up on a wall, and it would look like art, in my opinion. The score by Disaster Piece is...
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
That soundtrack is amazing.
It's amazing, and it's not too... It's not too dependent on the old synthesizer scores from the 80s. It's just an incredible score. The ending does get a little weird. I feel like the third, when they're trying to take out the demon, there's some parts where you kind of question how the demon actually works. But it's still a satisfying ending, and one that kind of leaves the door open for... I don't want to say a sequel because I don't want to see a sequel.
Yeah, I don't. That's one of those. It doesn't need a sequel.
But it's like Inception, where it kind of leaves the door open for interpretation on how the movie actually ended, and you could be right in both cases.
That's one thing I like about genre in general. I know you're a big fan, Carla. I like the idea that you can take STDs, something that's people deal with, especially single people or people, having fun, and you can make a horror movie out of it. You can make a message. I love the Friday the 13th movies where Jason literally is woken up by two people having sex. I think that's funny. That's hilarious to me. So I do like the idea that it was
You made Alexander crack up to the point where he had to hold his face.
I've seen. Jason,
you know what I'm talking about.
I've seen
Jason X. I'm just gonna put my head.
He
in my
literally
hand.
wakes up. They're having sex. He just knows. It's like, ooh.
His glasses are gonna pop out of his face in a minute. All right, so I'm just going to segue on over to
Yes,
me.
let's do that.
Yes.
I want to encourage everybody to check out The Wizard of Oz. It's celebrating its 80th anniversary this year.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yes, The Wizard of Oz is one of my favorite films ever for one reason, Judy Garland.
It's a great movie. And you know what's funny? I saw that. I went to see that in theaters a couple years back. I forgot about 90% of that movie.
It's different because when it comes on TV, you never really catch it when it comes on.
Yes.
You catch it in the middle or at the beginning or at the end, or you catch it during the Yellow Brick Road. It's always at a different point. But it is celebrating its 80th anniversary this year, so I want to suggest that. I also want to suggest there's I'm not sure if this is a series or if it's a movie. I think it's a movie, though. It's called Sea of Shadows, and it's on Nat Geo TV.
Oh,
and it's dealing with, it's a documentary type situation dealing with the Mexican cartel trying to make money and stop people from getting a hold of this fish called a totoba.
Oh.
Which apparently is a lot of money. It's like sea crack.
Oh, wow.
For lack of a better way to say it.
Oh my
So it's a
gosh.
very intriguing story, and it's very enlightening because I did not know that the Mexican cartel was literally messing with the fishermen too. So yeah, it's called Sea of Shadows, and it's on Nat Geo TV.
Okay, that sounds
Okay.
good. I'm curious.
Yeah, I've not seen Sea of Shadows, but I might have to check it out.
It's really good.
As for Wizard of Oz, it's one of those movies where it's like every time I watch it, I've never seen it. I've never had the opportunity to see it in a theater, but every time I watch it, it's like West Side Story for me, or The Iron
Yeah.
Giant, where it's like, I'm not gonna lose it this time. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Darn it, I'm crying.
Yeah, when she sings "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," it's a wrap.
It's
Yeah.
a joy. It's a joy.
and it's the first act of the movie.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's the first 15 minutes of the
Yeah.
film. I'm like, ah, it's just the best.
There's something about Judy Garland, and if you've never really experienced one of her movies, you should definitely. The Star is Born with Judy Garland is lovely too. She's
That's
just
my favorite. I mean, I'm a huge Judy Garland fan, huge. So I've seen quite a bit of her films, and then I literally bought a CD. Wow.
Wow, you bought a CD?
I bought a CD collection of all of her songs from all of her movies.
Oh wow.
Wow.
It's the bomb. It's
Oh
the
my
bomb.
gosh.
It is awesome. I have one like that from Barbra Streisand too.
Well,
nice.
now I gotta ask, what's your favorite? Is Star is Born your favorite?
My favorite Judy Garland movie?
Yeah.
No, Meet Me in St. Louis is.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful movie.
Yeah, Meet Me in St. Louis is my favorite Judy Garland movie because it's about being in my hometown in an area where my family used to own a home there. So it takes place during the World's Fair, which was a really important historical time in my hometown of St. Louis. So it was cool.
That's good. Well, with my pick, I'm gonna go. Actually, I'm going musical, but I'm going to really recent. I feel like go see classics like this. I love go see Wizard of Oz. Go see Meet Me in St. Louis. I got a movie that I really loved, and it wasn't widely acclaimed, but I loved Teen Spirit with Elle Fanning.
Never heard of it.
It's about a girl, and I'll tell you why.
My mother and my brother loved it, but I was like,
Yeah, it's about a girl, a Polish descent, who loves to sing, and she's in this very just kind of poor family. She's never really she's not going to get the opportunity. She happens to meet this guy who used to be an opera singer, and he coaches her to go on this live television event to audition to be a star. The reason I love this movie, I loved Elle Fanning's performance. It wasn't the typical...
She was good.
She was good. She didn't come across as, oh, look at me, I'm the star. It was a very grounded, very beautiful performance, and my God, she can sing.
yeah, she has a nice voice.
Yeah, she covered Tegan and Sarah. She covered, I think, Robin. She covered all these people. And I think what really impressed me, I'm a huge music fan of Brandy Carlisle. I love when you add that element to a film. What I really liked about this is I'm not a pop music fan. Mm-hmm. I'm not the guy that's going to go out and I'm going to listen to the new Taylor Swift, or I'm going to I had no idea who Robin was before this movie. It gave me an appreciation for the passion that went into the pop music, and I did the junket for the film with Max Mangala, the director. First, wonderful actor, and then he's directing this little sweet film, and I love the fact that he treated the music with respect. It wasn't cheesy. I mean, there was a couple cheesy songs in there, especially the group song that they all did together. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But there's something about it. It put these songs and these lyrics into a very real world, and a very, I've got to escape this world. And it didn't feel cheesy anymore. It felt beautiful, and it felt charming. And it's just a really small story that I connected to, and I'm sorry you didn't, but I hope people see it. I mean, it's not groundbreaking. It's not the best movie you're ever going to see, but it's got a lot of heart, and I love that.
Okay.
I love movies like that.
All right.
All right.
So I guess that's it. Yeah, that's it. We're done. It was a pleasure, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Please, if you have any suggestions for independent movies, any Disney movies, please comment, do whatever you want. Now, where can we find you?
All right, you guys can find me on YouTube at The Real Mr. Robinson, Twitter, Real Mr. Robinson, Instagram, The Real Mr. Robinson. And if you want to know my quick 30-second opinion on the trailer for Cats, go follow me on the Stardust app at Real Mr. Robinson. I did a reaction today. You will not want to miss it.
Meow.
Okay. Well, there's that. You can find me across all social media platforms at The Curvy Critic. You can also find me here at Popcorn Talk all the time doing a lot of different things. But you can find me at Black Hollywood Live every Sunday at 5 o'clock doing The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, and at AfterBuzz TV doing the General Hospital Report. And just before we go, I just want to give a final shout out to the people in the chat room. Eon001, Dope for Cash, Kame, Egan, and Tari. And yes, Tari, you did see me on Ugly Betty.
So we're going to do I think her and I are going to do a Friday the 13th marathon. Is that correct? We're doing it?
No.
Okay, well, and of course, I'm Jimmy O. I was your host today. Thank you for joining in. You can find me on Twitter, Jimmy to the O. You can find me everywhere. I'm on social media. It's a mess. Thanks, guys. Thanks again for joining us. Until next week.
Bye.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.